10th Queerscreen Film Festival starts next week, and I'm very excited to be talking to the festival director of the Queerscreen Festival, Lisa Rose. Lisa, welcome to Queerscreen Gaywaves.
Thanks for having me on Gaywaves, Mark.
Thank you for joining us today, because I know you must be really busy. It's just around the corner. But
Yeah.
wanted to start off with, can you share a bit about your journey and how you became involved in the film festival industry, specifically with Queerscreen?
Yeah, sure. So I've been involved with Queerscreen since 2012, so it's been 11 years, my longest relationship I've ever had. I started off as a volunteer, which is always a great way to get involved with the organisation. The organisation itself has been around for 30 years, and I just have always loved film, and particularly queer film. And so I had a long-term relationship end and thought, what am I going to do with myself? I'll marry a film festival instead. So I kind of did that and volunteered for a few years, and then I was on the board of directors, and then kind of had an epiphany where I realized I was in the wrong career. So I moved into the festival director role in May 2017, and I've been doing it ever since.
What sort of inspired you to take on the festival director role, and what did you hope to achieve by taking on the role?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I just really had that moment where, queer film has been such an important part of my life, and I think that festivals like ours are still so important to exist. And so I really wanted to make sure that that kind of continued. And I learned so much from the previous festival director, Paul Struthers, who was really inclusive and taught me a lot. And it just kind of made me realize that I'd kind of found my calling was to sort of dedicate my life to this kind of thing. And I think that Queerscreen obviously has survived for 30 years as a not-for-profit LGBTIQ plus arts organisation, which is something to be celebrated. But making sure that we are still relevant and existing beyond that is why I keep doing it, because there's so much more content that gets made nowadays, and there's so much more competition than there used to be. So it's just that thing of making sure that we're still here and making sure that we're still relevant, because there's nothing like watching a queer film in a predominantly queer audience.
I totally agree. I love the film festival. I've got a couple of tickets already bought. So it's great. So as you mentioned there about staying relevant, I mean, obviously the LGBTQA plus representation in the media has evolved over the years. How does Queerscreen contribute to showcasing diverse stories and perspectives within our community?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting thing. So because you've got to, that's one of the things that I love about a film festival is that you can, even though it's one product that we're pretty much showing, like film, we can still touch on so many different diverse stories and representation, and different different faces on screen, different types of filmmakers, different genres of film. And we're kind of blessed by that aspect of the fact that we can do that. And one of the things that has been really apparent for me over the last probably 5 or so years in particular is how that diversity is just becoming even greater. Like the representation of people that are making stuff is getting more and more diverse. The diversity of genre of stuff that I'm seeing that we get to put in the festivals now is changing and becoming more apparent, and that's really exciting for me.
That's great. Can you highlight any memorable moments from past Queerscreen festivals that had a strong impact on you or the audience?
Yeah, there's probably a few. I think probably the one from our Mardi Gras Film Festival, the one that we do in February, was we showed Moonlight 4 days after it won the Oscar for Best Film in front of 800 predominantly queer people. And that experience for me was like nothing I had ever kind of had before. It wasn't something that I ever sort of imagined that a film like that would win the Oscar, and then also getting to the fact that we got to show it so soon afterwards was really exciting. We also have had some really great experiences with guests that we've had at the festival. We had some guests at the Queerscreen Film Fest a few years ago, young women who are from some web series that are incredibly popular with with young people and having them. We had people fly in from all over the country to go to a meet and greet with these actors, and it was just the amount of joy that I just experienced from just facilitating that and making these people have one of the greatest days of their life was just, it just really touched me, and it really just made me think about how needed we are, because it's something that I would have loved to have had when I was a teenager.
Same, totally same. I would love that. So with the increasing visibility of LGBTQI plus stories in the mainstream media, how does Queerscreen continue to, how are you able to curate and that unique and relevant selection for our audience?
Yeah, well, I guess the thing is that mainstream is predominantly, like, the gatekeepers of mainstream media are not necessarily queer, and and obviously I am, and we are here, and so you've got that as one aspect where we're coming from a level and an angle of authenticity, and then we play a lot of films, short films, documentaries, things that don't make it through to the mainstream, things that won't get distribution, things that won't end up on streaming, and so it really does mean that we're showing a gamut of things. It's not things that are just commercially viable. It's things that are really telling a diverse range of stories from all over the globe.
That's fantastic. So the COVID-19 pandemic, I mean, it changed the landscape of events. How did Queerscreen adapt to those challenges? And have there been any unexpected positive outcomes from the shift?
Yeah, actually, that is we actually, as an industry, film festivals, I think we were blessed in the way that the product that we at least do, which is obviously on screen, means that it is slightly more adaptable to being able to have stuff streamed online for people to be able to enjoy, not inside a cinema, as opposed to other arts organizations. So that was a blessing. And what it has done is it's enabled us to do hybrid festivals. So we do an on-demand component, and it reaches Australia-wide. And so that means that we're hitting all of these people all over, because there's not that many queer film festivals in Australia. And so it means that we have people in every single state and territory that watch our films. It also means that people have who work night shifts, people who have young children, people who have access issues who can't get to the cinema, means that they are able to still participate in the festival and watch films, which is fantastic. It is a really interesting thing, because obviously the coronavirus is still around and stuff, but the world has kind of moved and shifted. A lot of film festivals are no longer offering hybrid festivals, but it's something that's really important to Queerscreen that we want to continue doing for as long as we can. We can't guarantee that that's obviously going to be able to continue, because a lot of filmmakers, sales agents, distributors are now no longer allowing their films to be part of online festivals. And then also we also are beholden to the classification board in terms of what we're allowed to put online. So it's a really kind of watch this space, but we are committed to do it for as long as we can.
Yeah. Now, I know since you've come on board as festival director, you've implemented a few things, one being the Queerscreen Competition Fund and the other one being Queerscreen Pitch Off. Can you talk to us about both of those initiatives that you started?
Yeah, so the completion fund started before I was festival, when I was on the board, but that's something where we generally give away about anywhere between $15,000 and $20,000 a year to Australian features or web series or documentaries that are in post-production, and we give them finishing funds. So it might be stuff that they use for sound design or special effects or marketing costs, and that's been a great success when we first awarded it in 2016, just before I became festival director. And then in the pitch off, Queerscreen Pitch Off, which we will be doing as part of Queerscreen Film Fest. That is helps emerging filmmakers. It's a $10,000 production fund to make short films, and it's incredibly difficult to get funding for short films. And that was one of the reasons why we wanted to start that, because we felt like we wanted to really help emerging voices. Because obviously, if you're doing completion funding of feature, a lot of the funding has already been found. So that's been really successful. It's really exciting that we're now doing our 6th year of Pitch Off coming up.
Yeah. Now, besides applying for Pitch Off, what other advice would you give to aspiring filmmakers within the LGBTQA plus community who want to make impactful films and potentially have them featured at festivals like Queerscreen?
Well, I think you've just got to really be true to yourself, and if you want to make something, you've just got to make it,
Yeah.
and just network and try and learn. I think a key thing that I think probably more filmmakers possibly need to do is watch more films, so that you can sort of see what is getting shown at festivals, and if that's kind of an aim for you to get into festivals, you kind of need to watch what's kind of being shown at festivals that you're interested in. And just kind of see what sort of stories are being told, and whether there are things that are unique or not unique, or stories that are kind of similar. Like, it's always a really interesting thing to be able to watch a lot of films and be able to see those similarities and uniqueness.
Exactly. Now, obviously, the film festival starts next week on the 23rd. Can you tell us about the 10th Queerscreen Film Fest, and what are some of the highlights during the fest?
Yeah, so the 10th is it's exciting. It's our 10-year anniversary, and the first festival we started, it was done on the smell of an oily rag, entirely by volunteers, and we had, I think, 411 people turn up to that festival, where we basically were at Dendy Newtown and also at the Newtown Hotel, and so it was really tiny. We only did a few films. This one, I'm hoping to get quite a few more than 400. I think I've got more than 400 people coming to opening night, so that's exciting. But the opening night film in particular, called Blue Jean, is, I think, one of the best films with a lesbian protagonist I've seen in years. And it's just a fantastic film that's set sort of in Thatcher era London, about a closeted PE teacher and her butch girlfriend, and just how she has a very compartmentalized life with how she's at school, and then her very queer life she lives outside of school, and those two things, the walls start to break down between them because of a student at her school, and so how she deals with that is just really fascinating, and it's made by a fantastic up-and-coming filmmaker. It's a first-time feature, Georgia Oakley, and the lead actress is phenomenal in the role. So I highly recommend that one. I also think we've got we don't always play Australian stuff in this particular festival. Often we keep it for Mardi Gras, but I really had a few opportunities to play some Australian stuff this year, and we've got a double feature sort of two films that kind of go for about 40 minutes each, and it's Triple O and Fanny Scat Investigates, and they're both just very funny, and I think we all could do with a laugh. Triple O is about two paramedics, and there's sort of the weird kind of situations that they get themselves in, and it's quite sexy and funny. And Fanny Scat Investigates was actually a Completion Fund recipient earlier this year. It's a web series, and this is the pilot episode that we're going to be showing, about a drag queen who needs to supplement her drag income by becoming a private investigator, and it's very silly and very fun. So I think that should be a great night. And we've also, the other Australian film that we're playing is a documentary called Equal the Contest, which is from a non-binary filmmaker, and it's about an inclusive AFL club in country Victoria, and about their sort of struggles and strives to try and make sure that their club is accepted into the local league, and wanting to be so inclusive from the get-go. And it's really interesting and a fascinating film.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. You have a great diversity in films. In fact, I've got tickets to go and see the double feature as well, so I'll be looking forward to that. And of course, with Fanny Scat, it's Trevor Ashley, of course, the famous Sydney drag queen.
Yes.
So maybe besides those three major things, have you got any personal favourites in the film festival? Not so much highlights, but
that's a good question. I really like Medusa Deluxe, which is a film that's actually playing Melbourne International Film Festival at the moment as well. We've got its Sydney premiere, and it's kind of, the way it's shot is like it's basically shot in kind of one take. And it just covers like the one sort of cycle of like 90 minutes, and it's sort of at this flamboyant hairdressing competition, and there's been somebody is killed at the start of the film, and it's kind of like a whodunit mystery, and very camp, and it's really stylized, and I really enjoyed it, and I think it should do quite well. And I also really loved Monster, which is the film that won the Queer Palm at Cannes and also Best Screenplay. It's from Japan. And it's it's a mystery that sort of unravels where you see it from 3 different perspectives that kind of about 2 young boys, a mother and a teacher, and you don't really know what's going on as the film kind of unravels, and you get more and more information. And when you see it from different perspectives, you kind of, you can you be judging from one perspective, and then you see it from the other, and more things come to light, and it's just a really, really well made film.
Cool. Now, I suppose in our little Sydney bubble, we might see Queerscreen as a Sydney thing, but it's not, is it? You go out to the regions and stuff like that?
Yeah, so obviously we have the on-demand program, which is nationwide, which has some of the films and also has some encores of films that we have played in the past. And then we go to the Blue Mountains with this particular festival. With the Mardi Gras Film Festival, we also go to Canberra after the festival as well. But with this one, we just go to the Blue Mountains, September 15th to 17th. We're taking 4 films up there. It's always lovely going up to Mount Victoria, to Mount Vic Flicks. It's such a great cinema. Always want to get the soup.
Yeah.
They make good soup.
I'll have to have the soup next time I'm there, definitely. Yeah. So, where do you see Queerscreen going in the future? Like, what sort of plans have you got, and what's your aspirations for Queerscreen?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that, the fact that we're celebrating 30 years is we want to make sure that we're viable and that we can continue to exist, because things are not cheap, and it takes a lot of not only money but also time, resource. We couldn't exist without sponsors and without our volunteers and our members and our donors. So it's just about making sure that we continue to thrive and exist and are sustainable, but also making sure that we're always looking at opportunities that arise to help filmmakers, because that's why we're here. If we didn't have the films, we wouldn't exist. And so we'll be looking at new initiatives that we might be able to do to help filmmakers in Australia.
Yeah. Now, you actually mentioned a few things there about your memberships. I'm a proud member myself, and so how can people support you, and then how does they get involved if they want to get involved as well?
Yeah, so there's lots of things you do. So obviously you can, if you just go to queerscreen.org.au, that's how you can find out all the information about Queerscreen. So you can donate through there, where it's totally tax deductible for anyone donating over $2. You can also become a member. We have memberships that range from $10 up to $350. You can also volunteer with us. We're always looking for volunteers, whether it's wearing a pink shirt at the festival and ushering, or whether it's helping out in the office, or helping out with marketing, or helping out on our board, or there's numerous things that you can do as a volunteer. And then obviously the biggest thing is, and the bulk of the thing is come to the festivals. Like we need the community to support our festivals and to make sure that we're getting bums on seats and or people watching at home, because we do it for the community, and that's why we're here. So having community support is vital.
Yeah, and I have to say the volunteers at the events are amazing, and they do a great job. Yeah.
They do. They're a fantastic bunch of people, and it's a great way to make friends and meet people that you might not normally meet, is volunteering. Yeah.
All right. Now, obviously, it's the 10th Queerscreen Film Festival. It's from the 23rd to the 27th of August. The films are showing at the Event Cinemas in George Street in the city. Now, you can get tickets. You can see the full program at queerscreen.org.au. And I want to thank you, Lisa Rose, for putting on the amazing festivals, and thank you for talking to us today on Gaywaves.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me, Mark. We'll see you at the festival.
Will do, definitely. I'll be there.